Start with prayers, and we have Mufti Abu Yasha who is going to start us with some prayers, and then we'll have some readings shortly after that.
نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم وسلم عليه. After the praise of Allah Almighty, durood and salutations upon the beloved Messenger and Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, my honorable audience, distinguished guests, family and friends, patients, colleagues, well-wishers of Dr. Sikander Malik, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good afternoon to you all. I was contacted by Dr. Jasmine Malik regarding today's event. I didn't know Dr. Sikander Malik. May God raise his ranks, forgive his major minor sins, and give him an abode in paradise with those that he loves. I didn't know him personally, but I read the information that Dr. Jasmine passed on the eulogy and the other information about his life, the struggles, the brief journey that he made from India to the United Kingdom. And honestly, it filled my heart with hope, it filled my heart with gratitude, and it filled my heart with love. The hope that we live in a world where wherever we look, left and right, forward, backwards, it seems that all there is darkness. You know, people are unhappy, there's the cost of living crisis, we just came through COVID, there's wars taking place around the world, there's famine and so on and so forth. But then to look at the life of an individual and throughout all of that, how he still remained happy, made sure his family remained happy, and any of those that were in contact with him remained happy. I want to share a little story with you, and then after that we'll conclude with a prayer. The story is that there was a king once, and the king had been very successful, and he was in a very jolly good mood one day, and he said to his vizier, "I'm very happy today, ask from me anything you like and I will grant your wish." So the vizier said, "O king, I have everything, you have been so kind to me, there's nothing else that I need from you." And the king said, "No, ask and I will grant." So he thought for a few moments and he said, "Well, king, you have such a huge kingdom, so vast, so much land, so many people, you have so much power. What if you just grant me a small piece of that kingdom so that I can rule over my own patch, my own area?" And the king said, "Fine." He called the scribe and he said to the scribe, "Right, that I, the king, grant my vizier half of my kingdom, but there is a condition." And he said, "The condition is that I have 3 questions. You must answer those 3 questions, and you have the time limit of 1 month to find the answer to those questions." So the scribe wrote this. As he finished writing, the vizier is smiling, and he says, "But if the vizier fails and does not find the answer or finds the incorrect answers to those questions, his head will be taken off." So the scribe writes this, and the vizier, he doesn't know, am I happy with this, or should I be worried? Anyway, it takes place, and the king says, off you go, find the answer to the questions. The questions are: number one, what is the greatest truth of life? Number two, what is the greatest deception of life? And number three, what is it that makes a person most helpless? That causes a person to be absolutely helpless. So the three questions: what is the greatest truth of life? What is the greatest deception of life? And what is it that makes a person most helpless? So off the vizier went. Time had started, the clock was ticking, and he called all the intellectuals of the time. All the high intellectuals, called them all in a gathering and said, right, these are my three questions, give me the answers. They all started giving him answers according to their intellect, their education, their wisdom, but the vizier wasn't satisfied with any of those answers, and he knew that if I go back with the wrong answer, my head is gone. So after finishing that, the next morning he packed his bags and off he went traveling. He thought, let me travel around, visit, try to find people who may be able to answer my question. He went from city to city, town to town, village to village, until he was tired, he was hungry, his clothes were torn, and it was coming to the end of his 1 month period. 3 days left, and he was in a small town, and in the town somebody said to him just outside, there's an old man, a wise man, maybe he can answer your questions. So he went, he found the man, and as he was approaching the old man, the man looked up and said, welcome, Vizier, I have the three answers to your three questions. And he was shocked. He thought, I've never met this man before, he's never seen me, I've never seen him. How does he know, A, I'm a vizier, and two, that I have three questions? So as he approached, they greeted one another, and he asked the old man, he said, how is it that you knew that I was a vizier and that I had three questions? And the man smiled. And the wise old man said, I was also once the vizier to the king. I recognize the bag that you're carrying. It belongs to the staff of the king. So I knew you were a vizier. And once too, I also made a deal with the king that answer three questions and I would attain half his kingdom. And once I was also in the same state that you are in today, with your hair bedraggled, your clothes torn, dust and mud all over your face. I was in exactly the same situation. But I found the answer to those three questions, and when I found the answer to those three questions, I thought, rather than waste my time with the king and the kingdom, let me serve the creation of God. So he said, give me those answers, please. Whatever you want, I will give to you. He said, fine, I'll give you the first two answers free of charge, and the third answer will cost you. You know, we never get anything for free in life, do we? So he agreed. He said, anything you like, whatever I have is yours, just please give me the answer to those three questions. So he said, fine. He said, your first question is, what is the greatest truth of life? And he said, the greatest truth, the answer is, the greatest truth of life is death. Nothing is guaranteed in life. Your wealth, your standing, your status, the house you live in, the car you drive, the people you will meet, nothing is guaranteed in life. However, if there is one thing that is guaranteed, regardless of who you are, where you are, what you believe in or what you don't believe in, death is the certainty. And on this note, you and I and people in general, it is something that we forget. There was once a time, particularly in the Eastern countries, that when somebody would pass away, the bier with the dead body would be carried towards the graveyard for the final rites and the prayer. And people would stand in honor as it passed by, out of respect. And people would cry. And they would cry not because out of the fact that they lost, they may not have even known the person who was passing by on the bier. But they would cry because it reminded them that one day we will also go. We will also be 6 feet under the ground. But if we remembered this as they did in those times, it reminded them to be better people, that the time that we have left here, let us make it worthwhile. Let us make it purposeful. Let us make it meaningful. Let us not waste our time. Every year we have a birthday and we celebrate that birthday, and it's something that should be celebrated. However, one thing that we often forget, or we choose to forget, is that there is 1 year that we are closer to our ending. But they remembered that. Today, when you go to a funeral or you go to somewhere where somebody has passed away, you go to a memorial service, often people are talking about business, about work, about many other things, which is absolutely fine. But the purpose is that we remember that one day we are going to go, and that we need to make this life more purposeful. The second question was, what is the greatest deception of life? And the wise man said to the vizier, the greatest deception of life is life itself. We think that it's never ending, that we are going to be here forever, and everything that we are attaining, our wealth, our fortune, our status, that we're going to take it with us. But whether it's been the greatest kings, whether it was Alexander the Great, or whether it was any other king or great leader or ruler or wealthy businessman, how many of them took their wealth to their grave with them? How many of them took any of these things? But if you take the example of Mother Teresa, she passed many, many years ago, but even today people talk about her. I am talking about her, and many people will read about her for centuries to come in the history books. Why? Because she lived her life knowing that this life, it's not necessarily just about me and about what I can achieve for myself, but rather it's about what I can achieve and do for others. Because the more I do for others, the more I will attain and the greater status I will have. And God says in the Quran that if you remember me, I will remember you. What is the meaning of that? It's exactly this, that we do good deeds, we work in such a way that even when we have gone, the world remembers us, people remember us, just like today we are here to remember Dr. Sikander Malik. And when we know that we have a flight to catch, for example, we're at the airport, how are we stood? You know, the flight's about to leave in an hour or so, and we're at Manchester Airport. We have our bags packed, we have our coat on, zipped, ready, in our hands, looking at the board, that as soon as the flight is announced, or it pings up on the board, we'll run towards the gate. That's our attitude, our frame of mind, and the position that we are in when we are about to travel. Yet, the journey which is the most certain journey, we have no preparation for. We are so engaged in our arguments and our disagreements and our problems with each other and other people or other institutions. No, let us gather all of that together and remember that, look, one day, very soon, we'll have that journey to make. Let us be ready for it and let us be prepared for it. And finally, the third question, he said it's going to cost you. He said, take whatever I had, the last gold coins I have, the little that I've got, take it all, whatever you want, I'll give you. And the wise man, there was a dog with him who was drinking from a bowl of milk. He said, you know, my dear dog here, the bowl with the milk in it, I don't want any of your coins, I don't want any other wealth of yours. I don't need it. But what I would like you to do as a price to pay for the answer to the last question is drink the milk from the dog's bowl. And the vizier was horrified. He said, what do you take me for? Do you know who I am? I'm the vizier to the king. I'm his second in command. People bow to me. All I have to do is wave a finger and they will run and do this and you want me to drink the milk from the dog's bowl that he's had his mouth in? Are you stupid? And the wise man said, fine, don't. You don't have to. I'm not forcing you. But if you don't, I won't give you the answer to the last question, and you know what's going to happen. When you go back, you're gone. He thought about it, he ummed and ahed, and he decided that, no, I'll have to sacrifice my self-respect. He picked up the bowl, he drank the water, the milk, and he said, now give me the answer. And the old man said, that is the answer to your last question. And he said, I don't understand. How is that the answer? He said, why did you drink the milk from the dog's bowl that the dog had been drinking from? That you thought that you were too good for, that you were such high and mighty and such a great person that it was beneath you to drink from the dog's bowl. But why did you do it in the end? Why? Out of greed and self-preservation. He said, this is the thing that makes a person most helpless. Your personal benefit, your personal gain. A person will do anything, will tell lies, will stab someone else in the back, will cross all boundaries for personal benefit, for personal gain. If that vizier had to do much more to gain half the kingdom, he would have done it. But that is not the way that we live, or we should live. We should live in a selfless way. And these three questions are lessons that you and I should implement and adopt in our lives. God says in the Quran that we created man and woman so that they could be tested, that which of them are the best in good deeds. And good deeds is what makes us successful. Success is measured in many different ways. But many of you may have heard of the law of attraction. And the law of attraction simply means that you hold certain emotions and you think positively, you live a positive life, you focus on certain things that you want to achieve in a positive way, and when you remain positive, you will achieve positive. If you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. But in the principles of the law of attraction, in order to be positive, there are two strongest positive emotions. One is love, and the other is gratitude. When you express love and you are filled with love, it is one of the most positive and strongest emotions you can have. And when you are filled with gratitude, you are truly thankful for something to someone, then that is another one of the most strongest emotions that we can have as mankind. And God says in the Quran that the more you thank me, the more I will give you. In other words, the more you implement this theory of the law of attraction, the more positive you are, the more that you will get. Whether that be wealth, whether that be family, whether that be anything else. And I finish with this, that after reading about the life of Dr. Sikander Malik, and after reading about his struggles and his life, he truly, without maybe actually knowing it, he implemented in his life those three questions. And he implemented in his life the law of attraction. Why? That is why he is so successful. A loving family that even after he has gone, I am contacted from the other side of the country that can you say a prayer for my father, for our grandfather. I read some of the comments made by previous patients, by friends, by colleagues of his. And honestly, why was all of this? Because he expressed gratitude in his life, because he was full of love in his life, because he lived to serve others. He benefited, he knew that one day I will go, but let me implement a system around me that benefits the creation of God, so that after I have gone, that work continues. And that's something that we should all look to do in our own personal ways. And we will finish now with a prayer. We raise our hands, and I will recite some Arabic prayers in Arabic, and after that I will say those prayers in English so that we can all understand. آمين اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم عليه. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم أرنا الحقائق الأشياء كما هي توفنا مسلمين والحقنا بالصالحين وادفع عنا شر الظالمين وشاركنا في دعاء المؤمنين ونبهنا عن نومة الغافلين وارزقنا شفاعة سيد المرسلين. اللهم اجعل التوفيق رفيقنا والصراط المستقيم طريقنا. اللهم أوصلنا إلى مقاصدنا وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب الميزان وأدخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير. اللهم إنا نجعلك في نورهم ونعوذ بك من شرورهم. Ya Rabbal Alameen, please accept this gathering in your court and the court of your beloved Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Ya Rabbal Alameen, we are gathered here today to commemorate and make dua for your servant Dr. Sikander Malik. Ya Rabbal Alameen, accept the work that he did to serve your creation, to serve your people and your servants on this earth. Ya Rabbal Alameen, forgive him his major and his minor sins, and purify him and elevate his status so that he may be with those who are close to you in paradise. Ya Rabbal Alameen, when the day of judgment comes and the scales are brought and the good deeds and the bad deeds are weighed, Ya Rabbal Alameen, eradicate his bad deeds and grant him heavy on the scales with his good deeds. Ya Rabbal Alameen, grant him a high status in Jannah, in paradise. Ya Rabbal Alameen, keep him protected from the flames of the hellfire. Ya Rabbal Alameen, he is an example, a shining example, not only to his family and his friends, but all of those that knew him and all of those that read about him. Give us all the ability to follow his teachings and his way of life in our own ways. Ya Rabbal Alameen, on the day of judgment, allow him the companionship of your prophets and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Ya Rabbal Alameen, the journey of the afterlife in the grave, make that easy for him and make it successful for him. Ya Rabbal Alameen, we are all in difficulties in our lives. We have problems, provide solutions to our problems. We have difficulties, provide ease in the face of these difficulties. Ya Rabbal Alameen, the friends, the families, the loved ones who are left behind for Dr. Malik, give them patience, give them sabr in their continuation without their dear loved father, grandfather, friend, or whatever other capacity that they knew Dr. Malik in. Ya Rabbal Alameen, Give us success in our individual lives. Whatever success means for us, allow us to achieve that. And allow us to at least help one another, the people around us. And Ya Rabbal Alameen, from Dr. Malik's life, what I see is that it didn't matter what walk of life one was from, what background one was from. To him, everybody was a person and everybody was equal. In this day and age with these difficulties around us, Ya Rabbal Alameen, give us all the ability to adopt that philosophy of equality, of inclusiveness. Ya Rabbal Alameen, I finish with this, that those who have their hands raised, those who have their hearts open, whether you believe in God or you believe in the universe or you believe in, and whatever it is that you believe in, we all wish for the best for Dr. Malik in his onward journey, and that he reaches the highest station in Jannah, and that all of us are blessed in this world and the hereafter. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين سبحان ربك رب العزة أما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Thank you very much for your time and thank you for listening.